Hey everybody, welcome to another Facebook Live right here from Remarkable House in my office. I'm excited to spend some time with you this afternoon talking about how our own beliefs influence our performance and how we can use that as leaders to be more powerfully in influencing others. So before we get started, let me just say hello if you're here. I see some people joining us. Say hello, tell us where you're from. We're going to get started here in just a couple of moments, give you just a second to settle in. And let me tell you that while I'm going to share this with you, I'm also happy to answer any questions or clarify any things. So get those fingers ready and you can type in anything you want and I'll try to answer it, preferably if it's related to the topic, but doesn't have to be. Welcome from Indianapolis. Stacy saying hello from Chicago. So I'm going to pause now and we're going to actually start, okay? Give everybody a chance to get settled in. And if you don't know, we also use these on our podcast at remarkablepodcast.com, the Remarkable Leadership Podcast. So I'm going to pause and that's where we'll actually start that, okay? So everybody, welcome. We're here to talk today about influence and how people see themselves. And we're talking about what some people call the Galatea Effect. Today, I'm going to call it the gift of Galatea, in part because I like alliteration. But because I do think it is a gift, it is a fact. The Galatea Effect is sort of well known and researched to the degree, and I don't think even research is required for us to understand it, because I'm going to describe to you how this all works. I want you to imagine that I've been asked to take part in two different contests. And one of those contests is a diving contest, and one of those contests is a free throw shooting contest. Both athletic, and both you're talking about a upper middle-aged white male. And you can say, well, I don't know which one of those Kevin might do better at, but I can tell you very directly which one I'll do better at. One of them I have more experience at than the other, but that's really not what the biggest issue is here. Because you see, I don't have much belief in myself as a swimmer, so that doesn't leave me much more in terms of diving. And so if I don't really have belief in myself in that area, the chances of me doing well, the chances of me even practicing, the chances of me being successful as a diver are much lower than my chances of being successful as in shooting free throws. And maybe we should throw free throws out because I've actually done that quite a bit in my life. Let's compare it to skateboarding. So let's say it's diving or skateboarding, neither of which I've really ever done. But listen, I got a much better shot at figuring out skateboarding. Because why? Because of what's between my ears, not because of what's in my body or what's in my head or it's what's in my arms in terms of the diving. It's really all about what's inside my head. The Galatea Effect says that people's belief about themselves has a huge impact on their ultimate success. Our belief in our ability, our belief in our self-worth, our belief in our potential all play a role in how successful we'll be at anything. So think about this. Like, once I have a belief about myself about something, it's going to lead to the choices I'm going to make. So let's say that if it's about the diving thing, even though I'm a relatively competitive person, the last thing that I'm going to want to really do is go work on the diving thing. The choices I'm going to make would be to say, if I have to compete in both, I'm going to lean toward the skateboarding. So I'm going to go work on the skateboarding before I work on the diving. So that choice is going to lead to my confidence level in the two things. And so even if I'm not doing very well at the skateboarding, I'm going to get better at it. I'm going to have more confidence in it. I'm going to work on it more. I'm going to have more discipline. I'm going to have more determination. I'm going to have more dedication to the thing that I believe I have more ability in or chance to succeed in. I'm going to procrastinate less. I'm going to work at it harder. All of that's going to lead to results. Now, none of this may have anything to do with my actual potential to dive versus to skateboard. It might have anything with any of that. And you can say, well, Kevin, why are you talking about diving and skateboarding? Well, here's why. Because it applies to anything in our performance. Our belief has a huge impact on our success at something. Okay, so that's That don't make sense to you, right? I mean, as you think about this for yourself, that makes sense. Again, it's the Galatea effect. People tend to live up to or down to their belief in themselves in relationship to the thing that we're talking about. Now, as a leader, what's the impact or what's the situation related to that? Well, here's the thing. As a leader, can I impact people's belief in themselves? Sure, I can have an impact on how others feel about themselves, right? There's a variety of things we can do, and I'll talk about those in a second. But here's the big idea. If people's belief in themselves matters in terms of how successful they will be, and if I, as a leader, can impact that positively, then we have an upward spiral. In my last video, we talked about the Pygmalion effect, which is other people's belief in ourselves can impact our success. But I'm saying just what can I do as a leader that can positively impact someone's own belief in themselves? Here are some things that we can do. The first thing we can do is we can show that belief. We can let people know that we see them as being able to be successful. Sometimes what we can actually do is show them examples of them being successful, because human beings are also not all that really self-aware. So we have blind spots. We think we're not good at something that maybe we're better at than we realize. Remember, I started out with, what is my belief or my opinion in my ability or my potential? If someone else sees factual data that's different than what I have in my head, we can start to change it right there. So the first thing I can do as a leader, as a friend, as a parent, as a coach, as a mentor, is to show our belief. The second thing that we can do is we can set high expectations. Now, if in a spirit of love and caring that we set high expectations for people, it can help to challenge them and it can change the choices that they make. So in other words, if I show my belief and help set a high expectation for someone, then we have the chance for great success. Now, if you were my coach around diving, you're not going to set sort of Greg Louganis expectations. And if you don't know who Greg Louganis is, multiple-time Olympian in diving, you're not going to set Greg Louganis expectations for me, but you're going to set higher expectations for me than I would set for myself, which helps to change that process. So show our belief in others, set higher expectations, provide encouragement, of course, provide correction, of course. And when I wrote my notes, I wrote provide encouragement and correction bathed in belief, which simply means this: if I'm giving correction, it's done from the place of, hey, I believe you can get there. Here's where you're falling short today. If it's encouragement, it's coming from, here's where you are. I think you're doing great. There's further you can still go. I believe in you. You think you're doing great. So it's encouragement and correction, coaching, feedback, whatever you want to call it. Call it in the wrapped up in our belief in others. When we do those things, it starts to change what they see about themselves, because we can influence people's opinions of their self-worth, opinions of their ability, opinions of their potential. So this is why it's the gift of Galatea, right? So a couple more things that we can do. We can create a culture around people so that the culture is encouraging and nurturing, so that the culture of everyone and how we interact together starts to have a positive impact on every person's individual beliefs in themselves. So we can leverage this beyond just ourselves in terms of creating a culture, right? And the other thing that we can do is we can create clear accountability. When we create clear accountability for people, say, not only do I believe that you can, not only do I see it happening, not only believe that you can do it, not only do I set high expectations for you, but listen, I'm going to, in love, hold you to those expectations, help you reach those expectations. And man, now we've really got something. Now, I've been saying from the start, I'm calling this the gift of Galatea, which is what it is. But I've been talking about this entirely on the positive side. See, if we don't believe in folks, we're having a negative impact on their own opinion of their own self-worth. If we're not providing the things that we've just said, Galatea isn't a gift. And if someone has a very low opinion of themselves and of their ability and of their potential, then Galatea isn't a gift. It's a anchor. And so it's important for us to recognize, as a leader, as someone who wants the best for others and has high belief in others, we have to recognize that the Galatea effect can be either a weight or anchor, or it can be a gift. And so where people's starting opinion of themselves is what we, though, can do as leaders is be an influencer of that. We can help people see something different. And I've shared a few ideas with you today to help you do this. This whole idea should both excite you and scare you, because ultimately people's performance will have a lot to do with what's between their own two ears. And we can't control that. Yes, we can influence it, but we can't control it. It's important for us to keep that in mind, to recognize what our role is and what our role isn't as a leader. And so I've shared all this with you today because I think it's super important as a part of this series. And I want to tell you that on September the 13th, I'm doing a live webinar, a short, powerful, directed webinar called The Power of Expectations, where I will go beyond just the Galatea effect and the Pygmalion effect that I've talked about before. And I'm going to go at this idea of how do we set clear expectations with our team members and make that all really work. It's going to be great. It's 30 minutes. It's on September the 13th. I'm looking at my clock here at 12 noon Eastern time. And you can get there. The link is in the description here, kevinikenberry.com/expectations. It's completely free. All you got to do is come join us, kevinikenberry.com/expectations. We would love to have you join us on September the 13th at noon Eastern time. And I hope you'll join us. And I look forward to having you join me then. And until then, think about the gift of Galatea, both for yourself and how you can influence people's opinions of themselves in a positive way for everyone's benefit. Thanks, everybody.